This is the Christian Men's Illustrated podcast. My name's Jeremiah Johnson with Greg Walden.
What's up?
Jake Waters. Guess what? We're coming off an epic 2024 presidential election. We predicted it right. Donald Trump got the win.
And I was only four off. I predicted 316. He got 312.
That's pretty good.
Oh, 316 was your pick? Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't go that deep, but yes, it was a landslide, as some said, big victory. And I'm grateful that by the time I went to bed at midnight, it was pretty much a done deal. So I was grateful for that.
Well, I mean, we need to at least give Kamala Harris some consolation. She's only the second biggest loser last week.
Oh, come on. Don't throw Kamala under the bus over there.
She
All the cat ladies are very depressed today. So
well, she can take consolation that the only thing that lost bigger than her was the Cowboys.
Ooh.
Oh, taking shots at Kamala today. Interesting. So what were your guys' takeaway from that? I should have wrote them all down. I have a lot banked mentally, but number one, I think Elon, I would say the purchase of Twitter and Elon himself was a big factor in this election. Even Trump admitted that. He's like, we got a new star. His name is Elon. And then he went on for 5 minutes to talk about his rocket story and everything like that. Did you see the...
Yeah.
I love how President Trump just sets up stories like he takes forever to work through them and everything. And you're kind of like, okay, man, land the plane here, bro.
Yeah.
Land it, buddy. Let's get to the end of the story. So
I was actually shocked, but my take is actually the Democrats are the reason why Trump was elected. Obama was the reason why we got Trump the first time. And the Democrats were the reason why we got Trump the second time.
I think Joe Rogan, too, helped.
Yeah, I was going to say number 2, Rogan.
Yep.
I think that was a big deal for Rogan to be a voice and be like, listen, all this, because it connects with point number 3 for me, which is the legacy media, meaning CNN, MSNBC, they are literally outright liars. They were lying about things, not just like we don't like Trump, which was clearly evident, not just like we're for Kamala in the left wing, which was evident. I mean, they just literally outright lied. Even Joe Rogan said Obama was his favorite president up until this election, because it's like even Obama just outright lied about stuff. So anyway, big win. I put that on our shorts. Big win for, I would say, independent media and new media. Yeah. Big win for them. Because that was my thing. It was like, is all this stuff really going to make a difference? You know what I'm saying? It's like Rogan's big, and you got all these Megyn Kelly, PBD people that I listen to, Tucker Carlson, and they're all, they got subs of like 3 to 5 million people. I'm like, you got to think if they have that many subscribers and their voices, going into that many places, you got to think that like that's going to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Well, Trump was smart enough to go take advantage of that, and Kamala had a chance to do it, and she wouldn't do it. She couldn't, sit 3 hours, and for obvious reasons. She couldn't handle any real questions. I mean, she's used to being spoon-fed, silly questions and being babied by the media, which is basically her propagandists. But she couldn't handle any real questions, so that's the reason why she wouldn't go on the podcast.
I think even it is so bad, even Greg Walden is abandoning his democratic ways.
All right, guys.
In his left-wing ways.
Correction. I'm the most conservative Christian Republican you'll probably ever find
Greg
in Jasper
Walden,
County.
you are the best podcaster I know. You are way better than Jake and Jeremiah.
What about you and Joe Biden now? Where's that relationship status at right now?
I don't know. Every time I call, he snores, man. I can't understand anything he says.
I'll go to that right now. I had it pulled up here. Oh, man, come on. Bring it back to me now. But I did pull that up. Wow, why are you doing this to me? But I brought up what is Kamala Harris going to do now. I was really interested to see.
Oh, yeah.
Write a book nobody
hot
buys.
takes on that.
Probably.
Yeah, no, that was one of the top 6 from the New York Times. They're like, what is Kamala going to do? One of the 6 was, write a book, and
nobody buys.
Take a lower position. Should she join a think tank? Just some various things that they're bringing up. And I do wonder what she will do. I think she's going to fade into well, that's what I would do. I would say write a book, try to get back on The View and all these people that love you and ride that train. Yep. Although I am fascinated to see, like, is J-Lo going to answer the phone today? Is Cardi B going to answer the phone if she calls today? Because, I mean, she got obliterated so bad. I think Kamala's going to find out who her real friends are. Yeah. Is Oprah going to pick up the phone? Obama, they're probably all texting her like, just don't call. Blocked. Bye, Kamala. Have a nice life.
Did you? So we were watching the news last night, and it was like $880 million she spent on her throughout her campaign.
Bill. Yeah. Billy.
Yeah.
$1 billion she had.
I asked Rachel, I go, where did all that money go? She goes, J-Lo, Cardi B.
Yep.
All these people just raked it in off of her.
Yeah.
Yep.
They said, so I listened to this before I came to the show here today. Number one, she paid Oprah $1 million just to do the interview. So Oprah got $1 million just to do the interview. Wow. So there's the podcast Call Her Daddy, which if you guys have heard of that one, I don't listen to it.
Yeah, it's not something
bad. Yeah,
not a Christian. That's not a Christian.
It's
podcast.
It's the opposite of Christian Men's Illustrated, the podcast. Anyway, it's top 5, top 10. If you go to Spotify and go to their top 100 podcasts, it's in the top 5. It's very popular, but they talk about like a lot of sexual things and things like that. But anyway, they paid, so she would not go to their studio to record the podcast. They paid $100,000 just to have a studio set up to record that podcast.
Wow.
Okay. And it's like a coffee table with some chairs. Like they were saying on Fox, they were saying we could have set that up for $6,000, but $100,000 just to set up a studio.
Right.
To do that one podcast.
Goodness.
It's wild.
So yeah, just burning. And Trump did too. They all do. They all rip through it, but they were giving her a hard time. These concerts, all this stuff that she just blitzed through.
Yeah.
Well,
millions of dollars.
Well, according to Fox, I guess there are people pressuring Biden to actually resign just so Kamala can be president for 2 months and say she was the first woman president.
Black woman president.
And a second option that they're trying to actually pressure Sotomayor to the Supreme Court to resign so Biden can put her on the Supreme Court. Kamala Harris on the Supreme Court. That's two things that are being that the far left.
We don't want that.
Yeah. So.
Very interesting though. What a election. I mean, I watched you guys stay up and watch. How late did you stay up? I stayed up till midnight, almost on the button.
I made it till like 10:30, and I was like, you know what? I voted. It's in God's hands, and I'll see you in the morning.
Well, I went to bed about 8 or so, 8:30 or something like that, because I had to get up next day to go to work, and I said I'm not going to look at the news till like when I wake up, and I woke up at 11:45 to go to the bathroom, and I looked at the news, and I was up all the rest of the night. Like, oh man.
Yeah. For me, it was. I mean, when I went to bed, he had won Florida, he had won Ohio, and he had just won North Carolina. They announced it. So at that point, it's like he only needed to win one of, what did they call the blue wall, one of the 7, which he ended up sweeping all of them.
He got all the battleground states. He balled it, man.
Yeah. He crushed it. So there you go. Donald Trump, I think, and the people have spoken, and I'm still so disappointed in legacy media, how they're continuing to cover stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that he's going to be this dictator, tyrant. It's just, I encourage everyone, please abandon CNN, MSNBC, all of them. Just start listening to podcasts. Listen to Joe Rogan. Listen to Megyn Kelly. Listen to Tucker Carlson. And my observation was like, will they make such a difference now? Like when the next election comes up, how awesome would it be if? It doesn't have to be a debate per se. How awesome would it be if the presidential candidates had to sit down with Rogan,
right,
for 2-3 hours, and he led the not debate but discussion, talk, whatever it be. How will that be the next evolution of media, that now they've become so powerful, new media podcasts have become so powerful that it's going to transition some of those type of things?
I think it's a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think the big debate actually was after the election, where they were asking whether the Democrat Party actually learned any lesson from the election, which apparently they have not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, I'm hoping they don't learn a lesson, because they'll keep doing the same dumb things and hopefully keep getting trounced.
And it feels like Americans are starting to wake up from the woke culture, meaning there were so many Hispanics that voted for Trump, black men that voted for Trump, women that voted for Trump. All these categories that they said Trump had ostracized and they're just not going to vote for him. He did well, if not dramatically increased those numbers. Like he didn't win the male black vote, but it was like up by 30-40%, whatever it is.
Trump won so bad that Bernie Sanders was even chastising the Democrat Party, and that's pretty bad when you got a radical socialist saying the Democrat Party's lost to working people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't care about the working people either, but
back to Kamala real quick. I pulled this up because when I was researching that, what is she going to do next? The question popped in my mind was like, hey, I wonder if vice presidents, do they get security for the rest of their life? And so I pulled up several articles, and this is what it pulled up. So the Secret Service protects vice presidents. Where's it at? And their children. Oh, I just had it right. Oh, yeah. So children of former anyway, they only get 6 months post vice presidency, and then they're done. They don't get it for the rest of their life.
Right.
So that shows you how unimportant vice presidents are. Like after 6 months, like you're on your own now, buddy.
Yep.
See you later. Like we don't.
The job was intended as a placeholder in case the president ever became incapacitated or couldn't do his duties for whatever reason. They would fill in, but it's really a meaningless position.
Yeah.
Per se, obviously most presidents do get the vice presidents involved with certain tasks. Like, well, she was supposed to be the border czar, but she didn't do that job. But anyway, she was.
No, she's not. No, she's not. No.
Yeah, well, she is supposed to, but doesn't mean supposed to. Doesn't mean do. But anywho,
exactly. You got some product for us here today. What's going on here?
I was at Walmart yesterday, and I was like, you know what? I think the guys would appreciate a nice Shirley Temple.
Oh, I love the Shirley Temple.
Yeah, this is not
back in the day, bowling and Shirley Temples.
This is not the alcohol version.
Right.
But the 7-Up actually has a limited edition Shirley Temple 7-Up.
I love it.
So I figured.
Love the Shirley Temple.
And I have not drunk one yet, so I'm newbie here. Have y'all had it yet?
Yeah, we haven't done a taste test on the pod for a little bit here, so it'd be good to do a little Shirley Temple. Wow, so this is brand new?
Yeah, brand new.
I haven't seen it yet.
So none of y'all tried it yet?
No. Like I said, when my mom was a bartender back in the day, it'd be like Shirley Temple or the Roy Rogers.
Yes.
Which is just Coke and the cherry grenadine as well.
All right,
so.
everybody ready? Cheers.
I like it. It takes me
good.
back to childhood.
Yeah.
I never had one, to be honest with you, so I wasn't ever familiar with it.
Oh, you never have? Oh, no. I love the Shirley Temple.
It's got pomegranate and cherry.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Very delicious. I love that's my thing with, I want to go to the carnivore diet, but that's why I can't. I love soda. Like, and it's just the bubbliness of it.
Yep.
Like, especially 7-Up, that zippy bubbliness.
Yes.
I can't get rid of that out of my life for whatever reason.
Doctors say one soda a day is not bad for you. Just when you drink about 8 or 9, that's the problem.
I've been drinking that Dr. Pepper Zero. It's actually really, really good.
Yeah. And it won't be available with the good old RFKJ. He's going to take it all from me anyway, so it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. He's going to strip that of us. That'll be the one bad thing.
Stock up. It's all good.
Which, okay, not to digress too far away, but on mission, when I go on mission trips, like I think in England, when I've been through England, like Mountain Dew's not legal there or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's not, Mountain Dew's hard to find in other countries.
Now,
some countries have gotten rid of it.
When you see these people, like most of them, do a lot of them seem overweight?
In other countries?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about England. I'm just trying to think of Africans where I've been. A lot of them are skinny just because they don't have access to food. Right. So that's what, like in Haiti specifically, I'm like, why don't model agencies just come here and snap photos of these dudes that are completely shredded?
Right.
And they're not even shredded because of their working out. They're just lean, shredded dudes from not eating food. And they don't, some of them don't look gangly and horrible. I'm just saying they look like just these super lean dudes. I'd be like, you can come here and take photos of them for like $5 and you'd be good to go. Right. Have to pay like these rich models or whatever. So there you go. That's good. I'm going to drink this the rest of the show, Greg Walton. Yeah. So any other thoughts on the presidency, you guys?
Well, I pray that Donald Trump does the best, but obviously as Christians, I mean, I'm telling you that, I mean, we've only got 4 years of him, and I had a little thought about it the other night, but I know it's probably controversial, but I think actually the left got some. I think they scored more major victories than the right did on the election day, and that's because we had Amendment 3 here in Missouri, but 9 other states had the same ballot measure on the election day as well, and I know when I thought about it last night, I looked at it, and like Florida didn't pass theirs, but the rest of the states did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And, well, actually, 8 states passed. Florida didn't pass. They didn't have the results on the 9th, so I don't know if that one passed or not. But out of the 8 states that passed, including Missouri, half of those were red conservative states.
Wow.
Interesting.
And so once abortion is not a right because the rights come from God. God does not give you the right to violate His word, so it's not a right. But for legal statuses, once a quote unquote right is bestowed, it's almost impossible to take it away. Once you give an entitlement, it's almost impossible to take it away.
True.
And so,
which is why Roe v. Wade was such a big deal that it did get overturned, right?
Well, here's the thing: is Roe v. Wade, on the federal level, it didn't really get destroyed. All the Supreme Court decision did this year is leave the matter to the states. It really didn't outlaw abortion per se, but it just left the matter to the states to decide whether they want to legalize it or not. Some states like California, that didn't affect them a bit.
Right.
Missouri and 12 other states made laws to basically ban abortion. Hence why we had all these ballot measures on the state, because the left was trying to basically trying to reinstate abortion in states that passed laws
Right.
to ban the practice. They were trying to get by the Constitution, and half of those states, 8 states passed, including Missouri, and half of those being red conservative states.
Wow.
Now, long term, then again, it's long term. Once they get that entrenchment, because again, it's not going to stop at abortion.
Right.
You're going to have gender neutrality, all this gender stuff going on. You have homosexual rights. That's all. You once you crack the door open to one, it's a train.
Yeah.
People don't realize it's a train. You have and then 30 years down the road, you get somebody. Well, I'm going to overturn that. They're going to lose. The Democrats have basically cemented power for 20, 30 years down the road. Because we only got Trump for 4 years.
Yeah.
You got the House Senate maybe for 2.
Then we're going to be right back to where we were.
And then as elections go, the pendulum swings back and forth, back and forth. 2 years from now, you could have a Democrat majority in the House and Senate.
Yeah.
4 years, you could have a Democrat president. So, really, did we really win, or was it just a temporary win?
Good point. And no, Trump's going to be president forever. He's going to be a dictator. Like, he's not going to let elections come anymore. Like, anyway. Didn't you know that? Come on. I mean, like, what's wrong with you? Yeah, very interesting. So this one last thing on the election, we'll get into some football spiritual talk. Check this out. This was the craziest one I found coming out of the election from the crazy left liberals. Listen to this. I need to post this one later. So this article coming out of usatoday.com, Trump's election has women swearing off sex with men. It's called the 4B movement. Have you heard about the 4B movement?
No.
Okay, I hope my wife does not join this. But Ashley Pollard is done dating men. And with the election of Donald Trump, more women say they're done too. I'm getting the burps with this 7-Up. The 36-year-old entrepreneur says she's been part of the 4B movement for 2 years, originating as a protest against misogyny and sexism in South Korea. The movement has 4 requirements for women who participate: no dating men, no marrying men, no sex with men, and no childbirth. Sorry. So I was getting so excited because I'm like, yeah, 4B movement. So there you go.
Well,
no dating men, no marrying men, no sex with men, and no childbirth. There you go. The 4B movement revival. It's starting.
Yes. If you're now, here's a guy. We're dudes. If you're a guy and you happen to come across a female of that persuasion, leave.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Leave.
Yeah.
You don't want that. You don't want it. Nope. Leave. I'd rather be single.
Right. This is the end of humanity right there. So I thought that was really funny that people go to such extremes of that measure. So God bless you, Ashley Pollard. I hope that life goes well for you.
Of course, if you're married to one like that, then you're...
Well, I'm wondering where they're at when the guys are trying to play in the girls' sports.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, it'll be interesting what will come up. So, all right, let's get away from that. Moving on to sports, the NFL and college football. Let's go college football first, and then, Jake, you got hot takes on the NFL for us to lead us through that, or what?
I only watched a couple. But
you only watched a couple. In the college game, just ripping through the top 25, Oregon still number 1, 39-18 over Maryland. Not a surprise there. Ohio State spanking Purdue 45-0. Old Miss was the upset of the week. Beat Georgia. So Ole Miss was ranked number 16. They beat Georgia, ranked number 3, 28-10.
That was a
big
good
win
game
there for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. You guys like Lane Kiffin? He's had a very storied history of being kind of a bouncing around coach here and there, but he's been consistent with Old Miss. We had Georgia Tech upset number 4 Miami. So number 3 and number 4 get upset this week. Texas, they spanked Florida 49-17. Number 6, Penn State gets the win, 35-6 over Washington. Number 7, Tennessee, 33-14. Indiana, still undefeated. That's the big surprise of the year. Indiana, University of Indiana. Shout out to you. You were born there, right?
I was born in Indiana, yep.
There you go, 20-15 over Michigan.
I'm a Missouri fan, though.
Yeah. And then the big one, number 9 BYU beats Utah 22-21. Their AD goes absolutely postal after the game. He gets fined $40K for criticizing the ref. So
Did you see the cheer coach got knocked out with a ball of water?
at that game?
Yeah.
Nice.
She got knocked out.
All kinds of craziness there. Those Mormons are battling each other. It is funny when you live. I've lived in Utah, BYU, Utah. That's a rivalry there, bro. When you live in the state of Utah,
Yep.
And it still leans because of Mormonism. BYU is still kind of king there.
Gotcha.
In the state of Utah, but University of Utah, both solid programs historically. So that Utah's all mad and upset, but BYU, they stay undefeated, which is very interesting because they're now in the Big 12. They have been independent like Notre Dame for quite a long time, but they're in the Big 12 now. They remain undefeated, and I think they might sneak there into the playoffs. Iowa State gets upset by Kansas. So Kansas knocks off Iowa State 45-36. Then we have Virginia beats Pittsburgh, another upset there. So there were some upsets galore happening this weekend. So it was really a fun NCAA college football weekend from my perspective. But my Colorado Buffaloes, number 20 in the country, get the win 41-27 over Texas Tech. And I'm excited. Colorado now on the verge. If they run the table, they could get in the playoffs.
Yep.
I predicted they would get 8 wins. They're on the verge of getting 9 or 10.
So they're definitely in the playoff, right?
If they run the table, they're in the
Right.
playoff for sure, which would be huge.
Yep.
Huge, as Donald Trump says, for Colorado, Deion Sanders. And just as the Dallas Cowboys are collapsing, will he be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? It's a little rumor here and there, so we'll see what's going on there. Washington State 49-28 over Utah State. Clemson, ranked number 23, gets a win over Virginia Tech 24-14. And Missouri finally back with a win. They're in the top 25 once again, 30-23 over Oklahoma. And finally, number 25 Army gets a win 14-3 over North Texas. So awesome. I was super happy about Colorado. Coach Prime, they're like, to me, the Chiefs, which we'll probably get to in a minute, and that they're always exciting. You can never go wrong with the Colorado Buffaloes game this season.
Awesome. Hey, got to throw in, man. My high school boys up in Mechanical, man. They're 12-0. They're now sectional champions, and this is their best season in 62 years.
Wow.
They're rolling it, dude. They're like two games away from state.
Wow.
They have to win 2 more games.
Yeah.
Still be state champs.
So you and those 5 other people are super excited about.
Yes, we are.
that team rolling there.
Come on, Mechanical, you go Braves.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations, Greg Walden. All right. So NCAA football season, we are now 10 games in, 3 games left, and we'll be moving into playoff time. All right, let's go to NFL. Lead us there, Jake. What's the NFL hot takes for the week?
The one that I mainly watched yesterday was the Chiefs game. But the 49ers got the dub too, so I'm happy about that.
23-20 over the Buccaneers.
I won my fantasy football.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Yep. Just for that week.
Yeah, at the end of the week, I go to some podcasts. Bill Simmons specifically is the one I go to right away to listen to, and some of the hot takes that they had, games that were really talked about were Kansas City Chiefs. Did you guys see the very end of that one?
Yes.
That was
16-14. Sean Payton just losing his mind, trying to act all calm, but inside he's just having a complete meltdown.
I get it, though. It was so close.
They did everything they needed to do. You do everything you need to do to beat the Chiefs.
They played good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mahomes, man, he's looking like he's getting beat up, though. He got beat up that game.
Yeah, he's just not having a good year this year.
That's
the defense is what's keeping him good this year.
He looked like me with the old ladies in the church, just getting beat up, man, just pouncing on them like an old lady at church. That's what it looked like to me there. So they get the win. They're undefeated. So here's my theory. What say you guys on this? I say, though, don't go undefeated. Please don't go undefeated.
Yeah,
it's a curse.
Yep.
Yep.
Because it'll leave them vulnerable for the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah. Well, right now the problem is with the Chiefs is they're really getting nailed with injuries. This is not a good year for Chiefs for us keeping players healthy.
They brought up on that podcast I listened to, it was the what was it? The Carolina Panthers back with Cam Newton. They went like 14-0, or they just went through the last 3 or 4 teams that were like 14-0, and they ended up losing or resting players and then losing in the first round. So I think it's a recipe for disaster. Let's take 1 or 2 losses,
Get out of your system.
get it out,
Yeah.
go into the playoffs. I don't think being undefeated and resting players is a good thing at all.
I think they're going to get their first loss next week when they pay the bills. That's just my hunch.
Yeah, a lot of people thinking that one, and you never know.
Oh, speaking of the Panthers, they won yesterday. I was excited for them.
How bad is it for the Cowboys? Look at this. The Cowboys and the Panthers have the same record, 3-6.
Ooh, that is bad.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones, did you hear about that game? So the Cowboys get throttled. But when the Cowboys built their brand new $1 billion stadium, they didn't consider the sun and where it would sit. So CeeDee Lamb drops his touchdown pass. He blames it on he can't see. So this has sincerely been a problematic thing for the Cowboys. They wanted God to watch the Cowboys, so they leave part of it open. And now this time of year, specifically this time of year, if they play a late afternoon game,
It's a legit problem.
receivers are struggling with seeing the ball.
Dang.
I don't think God's watching them anymore, man. I'm sorry.
I don't think so. I think
Might as
God
well
has
just cover that
abandoned them.
thing up.
Yeah.
But
Other big games, the Lions won. They're still looking stout.
dude, you
there.
see how many interceptions the Lions quarterback threw, and he still won the game.
Right.
He
Really?
threw like 5 or 6 interceptions.
He was 15 to 30, 240 yards, two TDs. Excuse me. I don't have the interception ratio in front of me.
He's supposed to throw a lot of interceptions.
That's crazy because Jared Goff's usually he was like the best as far as he was perfect.
Yeah. So, along with that, the Steelers get a 1-point win over the Commanders. So, disappointing for the Commanders. They're on such a roll, and then all of a sudden, Russell Wilson looks like a real quarterback, and they get the win there. So, that's the NFL. And they did say with the Chiefs that if they get the win next week, they're just completely in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed. So,
Right.
we might want to root for their loss next week, I guess.
I always am.
Taylor Swift in the game. Travis Kelce, what is it? He's losing it, dude. My advice, Travis Kelce, try to get the Super Bowl. Just go ahead and retire.
Yeah.
He basically you ever noticed he just catches the ball and just immediately falls over?
Well, yeah, well,
Probably
that's typical. He is not.
That's all he's doing.
He can't run after the catch.
Yeah.
That's why I say Tony Gonzalez is better.
Anyway, so there we go there. And now let's do one other article, and I'll hear you guys' spiritual thoughts for the week. Man, I'm so disappointed because I'm kind of a Jack Black fan. Are you guys Jack Black fans?
Yeah, I enjoy him.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Nacho Libre. That's
was
way,
super funny.
way up there. This out of churchleaders.com. Diabolical Christmas movie because we're heading into that season. Dear Santa stars Jack Black as Satan.
Oh, no.
The upcoming Christmas movie, Dear Santa, stars Jack Black not as Father Christmas, but as a holiday version of Satan. The film, which is set to release on Paramount Plus November 25th, tells the story of a young boy who writes a letter to Santa but accidentally sends it to the Lord of Darkness. When a young boy mails his Christmas wish list to Santa with one crucial spelling error, a devilish Jack Black arrives to wreak havoc on the holidays, says a synopsis of the film. So I guess it's not supposed to be too demonic and creepy as I read through the whole article, but super disappointed.
Yeah.
Jack Black's can be Satan for Christmas.
Yeah, I don't watch this.
So there we go. You guys got any other cool stories coming on the week? Obviously, a lot of football still going on. Election now over, and there we go.
Well, I got you an interesting one. This guy says he's lucky to be alive after sustaining car crash injuries tripping over his cat.
Is this
What?
you? Is this you?
No, it's not me.
Oh, okay.
This is not me. Not me. I just backed to my wife's car. That's all.
True
I did.
stories from Greg Walden. No.
But a UK man, as it happened in England, a UK man miraculously survived after sustaining a broken neck, fractured spine, smashed ribs, blood in his lungs, and other car crash, evoking injuries from tripping over his cat. I can't remember much, just flying fast. It was quick, and it was over within seconds. Then I was at the bottom. The freak apocalypse meow accident reportedly occurred on the evening of October 23rd while the professional musician was home alone with his hairless Egyptian Sphinx kitten, Eric Morecambe. That's a weird name for a cat. Disaster struck after the wrinkly kitty, apparently feeling playful, dove out and latched into one of its owner's legs while he was coming down the stairs. And the story gets weird. It took a bit of chunk out of my leg, then I lost my footing. He tumbled down 14 steps before arriving at the bottom where he lay unable to move, where his feline put the I'm going to say that was a bad word.
Don't swear. We have to hit that icon if we
yeah.
upload it.
The
Because they're swearing on this podcast.
The massively injured man did not realize the extent of his injuries at the time. However, paramedics later revealed he suffered a fractured skull, a broken bone in his neck, 2 fractures, blah, 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 blah. But where does the car come in? Where's the car come into play? Where does the car come into play? This story is weird.
This is not a complicated thing to me. It's like, don't get cats. That's the cats are horrible. This is not
the story's
complicated.
Well, I'm telling you, cats. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, you're texting me all the time. Oh, my cat knocked over my computer. Oh, my cat. And you keep like loaded guns, man. You like next thing you know, like Greg Walden gets shot as captain.
I might have to reconsider some of my protocols here, but yeah, I think cats do plot to kill their humans. I mean, I think cats do sit there and plot. They look at you like you ever look at the cat and like they're looking at you like he's not looking at you to say I love you. Yeah. He's like I'm waiting. Yeah. I'm waiting for my opportunity.
Whenever he drops, I'm eating him.
Yeah. I'd love to taste a human.
Yep. All right. Spiritual thoughts for the week, guys. What do you got going on spiritually that you're processing, thinking about? What's God working in your life this week?
Following Jesus. And it sounds simple, but a lot of times I always hear Jesus, Jesus, and it's easy to just get caught up in like, oh, yes, Jesus is good, but my focus for this week is to really study the scripture of what Jesus taught and follow that. Like, it's good. Paul's good, and Old Testament's good, but for right now I'm digging into exactly what Jesus taught, and just like about faith and healing, and to really study in on that and soul soak that in for, I don't know, maybe even months, but to really just soak that in.
Well, when I was up, couldn't go back to sleep. So a lot of times, like, awesome. One of the good pluses about not being able to sleep is that you have time to ponder. And I think I already texted you and Pastor Rachel while I was pondering, because I just pondered and think like you ponder about. And go back to the second Chronicles 7:14, where it says, "My people who are called by my name," and that comes to mind about. Especially when I was read that Amendment 3 passed, I was really bummed out. I was like, I was shocked. I didn't think it would ever pass in this state.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's a horrible bill, dude. It's not just dude. It's like up to the moment of birth.
Yes.
Taxpayer funded. I mean, you and you are going to be paying for that.
Yep.
And there's other stuff in that. It's a horrible bill.
Yeah.
And I did some research, and I'm sorry. This I'll be up front, and probably I may make some people upset, but this one's on the church, man, because the Jerusalem Post did before the election, they estimated that 32 million Christians were not going to vote on this election. 32 million Christians, I'm sure a lot of them because of Trump. No one, obviously Trump's.
Yeah.
There's some personality issues with Trump that kind of turn off some people.
Definitely a lover, love him or hate him.
Now, Amendment 3 passed by 140, something like 100, a little bit over 100,000 votes.
Okay.
Now, if you take that 32 million, obviously we know that not all 32 million, some of them probably did vote anyways, but if you take that number, 32 million divided by 50 states, that's 640,000 per state.
Right.
If only 25% of those Christians who said they weren't going to vote would have voted in Missouri, this bill would have went down.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it goes, the Christians, I mean, in elections, elections, the average turnout is about 23% of church people who claim to go to church, who claim to be Christian. About 25% of those vote. And we all know that not all 25 of those vote the Bible.
Right.
Sometimes they vote on
Christian
other side.
Christian is a very loose word now.
Yes.
Yep.
In our culture today.
So the issue is that in American culture and probably some other Western culture, like our voice does not. We don't get out there and make our voices heard as believers and Christians. We don't stand up for truth. We kind of like we're like our own little worlds, and we kind of like do our own little thing, but we don't take the voice. Like I was like, 40 years ago, they would never have put this on the ballot. Never.
Yeah.
But the Democrats were just as evil back then and radical back then as they are now. But politically, they knew it would be political suicide to put something like that on the ballot, because the Christian vote was huge. Like they would turn out and vote. But now they don't fear us. They don't fear the Christian vote at all. Why? because we don't speak out. We don't speak out. We don't show up to vote. We don't make our voices heard. And therefore, the devil put one on us on this election. That's just right straight up point.
You guys got to look, you got to look into this stuff too. You know, again, with this age of misinformation, you just Google begin to look what abortion is. It is
barbaric,
heinous, evil, demonic.
Yeah.
There is nothing good about this. Guys.
I had an argument with a person. They were like, "Oh, thank God! Thank goodness that Missouri stood up for women's reproductive rights." Like, one, it's not a reproductive right.
Correct.
Reproduction is obviously, we go back to biology. Reproductive rights is the ability you have the right to be able to reproduce your kind. Mm-hmm. If you kill the baby, you didn't reproduce.
Right.
And when you have the baby, you obviously reproduced, right? So you're not. So it's not a reproductive right. Two, if I were to put a measure on the ballot saying, "Hey, we got a new idea for capital punishment for condemned criminals who murder people. We'll stick them in a pear-shaped enclosure, just big enough for them to go in the fetal position, and we pluck their legs out, pluck their arms out, pluck their body out, crush their skull, pull it out." Y'all be like, "Oh gosh, that's inhumane and cruel," which it is.
Yeah. Right.
But you support doing that to an unborn baby.
I don't know why they wouldn't, at bare minimum, say, I don't know at what point, but to let these girls, I mean, a lot of them are probably young ladies or whatever, get to watch a video of how it actually goes down. Yeah. I mean, I feel like once they saw like the dismemberment and the sometimes few days procedure, you know what I mean, week long of going back in, I really feel like they would take a second look at their decision, instead of just going for it and then being so far into it at that point that they're in too deep,
If there's a Life Choices in your area, if you ever heard of that before, something like that, and a girl that's struggling, pregnant, get them to that facility because they will help give education and could potentially be life-changing for her and the child as well. So.
And two, why do you think they oppose, because they have laws where they want to make laws where a woman seeking an abortion would have to first go to an ultrasound and actually see the ultrasound.
Yep.
But they oppose that. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you think they oppose
Because
that?
it's a person.
Yep.
Because they spent all these years.
Because it's a human.
Yeah. Well, they spent all these years dehumanizing that fetus, saying it's just a blob of tissue. But once you see it, that's actually a human being. That's no longer a dehumanization issue. Like, you're actually saying that's a human being.
Yeah, it goes against their agenda.
Right. So it's horrible, man.
I'll wrap it up with a passage out of John chapter 10, verse 27 and 28. It says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me, and I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, and no one shall snatch them out of my hand." And we're living in a time where we just got to learn the voice of God, and it's a discipline, and it's a required, a consistent of his word, of being in prayer, of being in the church, of being with believers. It's, it happens in a variety of ways, but seeking the voice of, we have to know Jesus if we're going to make it in this world. So my funny story coming out of last week, which I shared Sunday morning, was this happened twice now in the last 2 weeks on the bus that I was driving. So this one kid comes into the bus. She's like, "Oh man, I got a girlfriend. Oh, I got a girlfriend." And he was so stoked about it. He's like, "Man, I got a girlfriend." So we start driving off, and my bus aide is like, "Oh wow, that's great." We're starting to probe him a little bit. We're like, "Well, what's your girlfriend's name?" He's like, "I don't know." like, "You don't know your girl?" "No, I forgot."
I'm like, "Well, does your girlfriend know she's your girlfriend?"
Yeah, does she know? And I was like, "Dude, but I'm in a funny way, I'm relating to this to Jesus. Like, a lot of Christians, I don't even know if they know Jesus. I mean, they know his name, but did they know him? Do we know him? Do we, and then it happens the second time on the bus. This other kid's like, "Oh, I got a girlfriend." And we're like, "Oh, what's her name?" "I don't know." And it's like, we're like, so I was like, "Dude, I'm going to start a YouTube channel for young guys about, rules for dating."
Yeah.
Step 1, know their name.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, what's your name? And then he was like, "Yeah." It was like, and then he went on to talk about like, "Yeah, in 7th period, like my girlfriend, who I don't know her name is, she's just like trying to tell me all her problems. I didn't want to hear it."
Oh boy.
Oh man, buddy, come on now. Yeah. So anyway, it's, the life of knowing and experiencing God requires us, again, because the enemy masquerades as an angel of light.
Yep.
Talk about misinformation just in general news. The enemy is trying to feed us a line. You know, he's trying to give us misinformation. He is trying to disconnect us from God. And the only way that we can stay connected to him is obviously through his word, through prayer, through the fellowship of believers, through the local church, through, you know, we have to do this because I'm telling you, the Bible says that in the last days, people are going to be slipping, falling, deception, false teaching, etc. So we got to cling to God more than ever before.
Well, it's knowing God and knowing His Word. It's a life and death. It's actually a spiritual life and death issue because the Bible also says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." Mm-hmm. If you don't know it, it's a life and death issue, man. If you don't know the truth, because the devil's a master deceiver, dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at the world around you; it's evident that the devil knows how to deceive people.
Yeah,
and if you don't know the Word, you don't know what God says, you don't know the truth, you're ripe. You're ripe for deception.
Yep, he's counterfeit.
Yeah, and imagine, just as much as I love technology, and it can be used for good, and I'm not anti any of these things, just think of how the enemy is going to want to use technology, AI, all this stuff to try and pull us away from the heart of God.
Yeah.
So,
another word.
There you go, guys. Donald Trump is the president. Not yet. He's going to be. And the Chiefs are still on a roll. We're the Christian Men's Illustrated podcast. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Have a good one, everybody.
Full Sarge.
Yeah, my